Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Attaboy, Rick.
Oh, man.
There's a new invention out there. It's called a cough switch.
He turned my mic on. He never told me it was on, for crying out loud.
Ryan's fault.
Yeah.
Our guests today, including now I'm starting to cough, including Elliotte Friedman, standing by, are brought to you by the Waddling Dog Pub. Located 10 minutes from the ferry terminal, the Waddling Dog is the place to be to catch every Canucks game with one of their 19 taps of both domestic and locally crafted beer, wine, and cider. A daily happy hour from 4 to 6. Brunch from 11 to 2. You get your eggs Benedict there.
Oh,
Rick.
so good.
And cough it up later. And a fully stocked liquor store attached. There are countless reasons to come, sit, and stay at the Waddling Dog. We're joined now from Hockey Night in Canada and the 32 Thoughts podcast by Elliotte Friedman. How are you, sir?
I feel like I should hork up a lung to start the segment.
Yeah,
Rick, you don't blame the producer.
Yeah.
Never blame the producers.
Elliotte,
never blame the technical staff.
They
can make you look worse.
Elliotte, you get a 3-2-1 count in television, and you know it. He didn't give it to me.
But the music had started, though, right?
I don't get a 3-2-1 count. Plus, you always assume the mic is open. Always assume the mic is open.
You know when you get a 3-2-1 count? In 1952 in television. It doesn't happen anymore. You're on your own. Elliotte, Thatcher Demko, I'm putting you on the spot here, not playing tonight. Looks like he's done for what remains of the Canucks season. What are you hearing?
I am hearing that. We'll see if they clarify it, but I've heard there's a good chance he's not going to play the rest of this year. It's too bad. He's had a great season. He's solidified himself as a franchise goalie, and it's actually one of the things that a couple of us have kind of been talking about is that how many real super stud number ones are left, and I think you guys have one. And when you have something like that, you hold on to it for dear life and don't let it go anywhere.
Do you have a number? How many starts is too many starts for a number one goalie these days? 64 for Demko this year.
I think that's probably, to me, Don, that's at the upper limit. I don't think you want to go any further than that. And the other thing, too, is, and Chris Pronger had a really good thread about it on Twitter today, you guys have one of the toughest travel schedules in the league. So, that adds to it. I think if you're getting up to 64, 65, you're in an area where you really don't want to go anymore. And it's not like I think he's been mishandled or anything like that. I just think that when you have a goalie as good as he is and you're battling like the Canucks are, it's normal to want to play him. And I think a lot of the time you say, hey, we'd like a guy to come in around 57 or 62. I think that's easier said than done, especially when you're in a situation that you guys are in. And but I do think 64, 65 is trending on too much.
I heard you talk about this on the weekend on Hockey Night in Canada, but the Canucks have lost 3 straight games as their playoff hopes die, other than the slimmest of mathematical hopes, but not for lack of trying. Do you see promise within this organization, something they can build on?
Look, I think there's they could have quit. Mm-hmm. They could have packed it in. They didn't. I think the Canucks as a group have played really hard. I think they've shown a lot of competitive fire. I think, the biggest thing is sometimes an organization makes decisions and sometimes decisions have to be made for you or you're forced into making decisions. And I think the thing about the Canucks right now is they're headed towards door B. And, Miller's contract means they're going to have to make a decision. They're getting close to Horvat's contract they're going to have to make a decision. Besser's contract, obviously, they're going to have to make a decision. I think overall, the Canucks would probably look at their group and say, this is a group that's competed really hard this year. And this is a group that we believe it can trend in a proper direction with the proper changes that need to be made. However, because Miller is where he is contract-wise, and Besser is where he is contract-wise, and Horvat is soon going to be where he's going to be contract-wise, these decisions are being foisted upon them. And, the one thing is like I look at Boudreau, for example. I think about a month ago they weren't sure what they were going to do here, and now I think they realize that the guy has to stay, and he's done the kind of job that says this team has responded to him, and if you think there's things that need to be fixed, you can fix them. You know, say to Bruce, we need to fix this, or we need you to bring in this. You can do that, but I think that when you look at your team, you say it has responded to him. It's played hard. How do we move forward to make sure that what this team has showed this year is kept? And I think one of these things is going to be the coach, and the rest of them are going to be what decisions you're going to make around the roster.
So, Elliotte, let's stick with Bruce. We're all hearing now that they do want him back, but they got to work out the contract. Is that going to be a sticky issue for you, or could it be a clean cut? Let's get her done quick.
Look, I think that if everybody here is reasonable, I think it's going to get done. I think it's that simple. If one side thinks that the other is being ridiculous with what it's discussing, then I don't think it'll get done, or it'll be a problem. But I think as long as everybody here is reasonable, and if you take a look at what the contracts are around the league, you can look at a contract for someone with his situation, and you can see it. Like I could see the Canucks. If he wants to go 4 years, I could see the Canucks saying, I don't know. But I think if we're talking like a 3-year term here, I think that there's a way to get this done. 4 years, I think it's a little tougher. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but I think it's a little bit tougher.
Elliotte, you had a great update on Hockey Night in Canada on Saturday with the Robin Lehner situation. Can you just again help us out with what happened here? I mean, they're in a must-win, can't-lose game tonight, and this guy's not. He's done for the year.
Well, Lehner's hurt. Like, it's legit. He needs surgery, and he has more than one injury. He has at least 2 and potentially 3. Now, I don't know that all those need surgery. That we only know the one so far. But Lehner was, whether you agree or disagree, he felt that he was competing as hard as he could, and he was playing as hard as he could. And, I mean, you guys saw the game in Vancouver a couple weeks ago. He was really good in the game. The Canucks won in overtime. He made a huge save off Pettersson to save Vegas a point in that game. And he felt that he was being unfairly criticized. He didn't like the fact he was pulled in that game against Washington last Wednesday. And the next day, last Thursday, he went in and said, you know what, I need surgery and I'm done. And they had some conversations with him about it for 2 days to see where it would go. And they asked him to back up on Sunday night, which he did. And then they announced yesterday he's not going to play. And I think whenever Vegas season comes to an end here, whether it's tonight in terms of the playoff race or another point, I think we're all going to be curious to hear what everybody here involved has to say. And one thing about Lehner, guys, he's not going to be quiet. He's going to say what's on his mind. And at some point, and I would assume it's after Vegas's playoff situation is cleared up, I think he'll I think that he might unless. I think he might have something to say, and I'm curious to see what he's going to say and what the Golden Knights are going to say. So we'll see what happens here and there. But I do think there's hard feelings right now between everybody involved. And I think the number one thing, though, guys, is that there's been a lot of drama in Vegas this year. Yes. I think if there's one thing that organization is going to have to do, it's going to be cut down on the drama.
Elliotte, first time we've had you on since Guy Lafleur passed. Is it one thing to be a legend in 31 other NHL cities? Is it another thing to be a legend in Montreal?
I just think he was a legend overall, Don. I mean, we're about the same age, and Rick, how old are you?
Just past 35 last week.
Congratulations. I mean, before Wayne Gretzky arrived in the NHL, Guy Lafleur was the biggest star on and off
big
the
time.
ice.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine Lafleur in his prime in the social media era? It would have been enormous.
Oh, and big time.
Even though I wasn't the biggest Canadians fan, I loved Guy Lafleur, and you guys, I'm sure, played road hockey and ice hockey, and a lot of people watching this did. How many of us skated and waved our hair and pretended we were Guy Lafleur? Like,
100%.
superstars, like just and a superstar not only on the ice but in terms of the social news of the day. Like he was as big a star as there could be on and off the ice. In sports at that time.
Yeah. Rock star. Well said, Elliotte. Thanks so much for this. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. Speak to you in a couple of weeks. Take care.